Am I the butthole? Emergency Buddy 5034 says, am I the butthole for excluding my autistic stepdaughter from my daughter's birthday party? My 30 female, daughter's 8 female, birthday is next week, and we're planning on having a party for her and inviting around 20 other kids. I also have a stepdaughter 7 female, from my marriage to my husband 38 male, and she desperately wants to come. However, the thing is, she has a history of not behaving at birthday parties. She acts younger than her age and doesn't understand social cues. She's been invited to 3 of her classmates' birthday parties in the past. At one of those parties, she blew out the candles, and at the other 2 parties, she started crying when she wasn't able to blow out the candles. Eventually people stopped inviting her to their parties, and she claims it makes her feel left out. I decided it would be best if my stepdaughter didn't come. She would either blow out the candles or have a tantrum, and either way she would ruin the day for my daughter. My husband is furious with me, saying I'm deliberately excluding her for being autistic. He says she already feels excluded from her classmates' parties, but excluding her from her own stepsister's party would be even more cruel. I told him it was my daughter's special day, and I had to prioritize her feelings first. Am I the butthole? Realistic Site 3952 says, info: what kind of actions have her parents taken to remediate this behavior? Like creating a routine for the stepdaughter to practice in preparation for someone else's party. That could include teaching her how to cheer on the birthday person when they blow out their own candles. Involving her in the preparations. Coaching her when she struggles with social cues. Or removing her from the party if she starts to melt down. Help her regulate so she can try again. Throwaway 89 Ma says, that's a great idea, but also, if your husband wants her to be there, then I think it's fair he's the one in charge of her, handling the tantrum, etc. I work with autistic kids, and it can be tricky with those kind of situations. Equal Maintenance 870 says, I just want to know why the husband apparently can't parent his ein kid. It isn't easy, but he should be there to help manage these situations instead of offloading the responsibility for it onto whoever is hosting the party. Juju Petty says, yikes. Most definitely between a rock and a hard place. If she's fine for the rest of the party, maybe your husband can take her in the house while you do the candles. You really should have addressed this situation sooner than now. Especially if she's not being invited to her friends' parties, which is making her feel left out. He is supposed to parent her so that she has the best understanding of how she should act in a social situation. Either way, he's going to have to deal with this because the situation can't continue the way it is. If he can't correct her behavior and she feels left out, then that's his fault. She's going to continue to be left out of her friends' events. That's not fair to her. He's going to have to step up and do the hard parenting job. Your husband should chaperone her at this party. Literally not letting her out of his sight. She should be his sole responsibility that day. Century on Golf says, agree wholeheartedly. I've been put in a position where my kids' friends with special needs basically invited themselves to my kids' parties and then acted in a manner that we both had to spend most of our energy managing this child since, by pure chance I'm sure, both the child's parents couldn't make it and take care of their child that day. I have no idea how to handle a child on the spectrum, but was after each party interrogated by the mother of this child on what had happened and why. It was taxing, and not at all something I had planned for. I had to make it very clear to my children not to invite either one of these kids ever again, just because the parents treated us like babysitters for a child with special needs. Am I the butthole? Better Priority 9750 says, am I the butthole for telling my aunt about my depression? I'm 19 female, and I lost my father 43 male in a car accident a year ago. Since then, I've been struggling with depression. My mom 41 female was also deeply affected, and her way of coping has been through the church. She's almost always there, really involved in all their activities. I don't have a good relationship with religion. I'm bisexual and felt really unwelcome the one time I went to her church. The discussion there was borderline hate speech, not just against LGBTQ+ people, but also other religions. My mom keeps trying to convert me, which has led to fights, and my depression has only gotten worse. Earlier this month, my Aunt G, my dad's sister, came to visit. We went out to dinner, and when I wasn't drinking, she asked why. I explained that I was starting a new medication and didn't want to mix it with alcohol. My mom was clearly uncomfortable and tried to change the subject. My aunt said, "It's normal to feel depressed after such a loss," and suggested I make a change to help me move forward. That's when she invited me to stay with her as long as I wanted. G lives in a neighboring country that speaks the same language as us. I saw it as an opportunity, and we talked a lot about it over dinner. When we got home, my mom was furious. She yelled at me, saying I shouldn't tell people I'm depressed because nobody cares, and accused me of just trying to get sympathy points from my aunt, making her look like a bad mother. After that, I started to withdraw even more, just going to work and then staying in bed. I didn't want to eat, and I felt completely misunderstood and out of place. My aunt invited me again 1 week ago, and I decided to take the risk. I'm leaving this Friday to stay with her for 2 months. My mom hasn't been happy about it. We've had more arguments, with her accusing me of rejecting her solution, church, but accepting my aunt's, making a change. Yesterday, just 3 days before I leave, I found out she's trying to rent out my room. She posted about it in a Facebook group, and has been talking to girls from her church. Legally, the house is ours, 50% hers and 50% mine. The bills aren't that high, and I could cover half if she wanted, but she hasn't even asked. I guess it's not about money, it feels like she's just trying to make me feel bad. I tried to talk with her, but she refuses to talk about it. She told me she's going to do whatever she wants, because I'm doing whatever I want. She's still saying I shouldn't have told my aunt in the first place and that I'm an a-hole for that. So, am I the asshole in this situation? Adventurous Bite says, "Sorry to hear about your loss. Obviously NTA, how could you be? You're trying to find a way to cope with your grief. And just because it's a different way than what your mother chose, it doesn't mean it's a bad way. I hope you get something out of staying with your auntie." Switchard 5322 says, "NTA. Your mom seems toxic, WTF. The religious BS is the last thing anyone needs when feeling down." Timely Egg 6827 says, "NTA and your mom is a rah. She is trying to use your illness to force you into compliance with her beliefs, and she's punishing you for stepping outside of that. Depression is nothing to be ashamed of, as your aunt said. It is a pretty normal reaction, but your mother is maybe seeing it as a reflection on her." Feastofen 73 says, "Your mom is a massive asshole who is mistreating you and using her religion as an excuse for it. Maybe she doesn't want you being open about your mental health, because the reality is she is part of the cause of your mental health problems. Go live with your aunt and do not feel guilty about it. Also, if you own half the house, you are entitled to half the rent she collects from the house." NTA. Korea Splendwinders says, "NTA. Not everyone grieves the same way. Your mom chose church, you chose change. There's nothing wrong with that. But your mom needs to be ashamed of herself for the way she's treating you." 2moms3grls says, NTA, your aunt is offering you a lifeline. Take it. Worry about how your mom feels. I know, easier said than done, how the house is getting paid for and everything else once you are established at your aunt's. Take time to grieve. And give your aunt so many hugs and thank yous. Good luck. Plasticity 93 says, oh look, a church person being a raging asshole. I'm so shocked. /s. Frig her. NTA. r/am I the butthole? Temporary porn 8789 says, am I the buttholer for telling my mom she's ing everything up and it won't get better until she realizes she can't control everyone. My mom has me 17 female. She had me young, broke up with my dad, and he died when I was 3 and let his family support me after he died, and she was alone because her family wouldn't help us. She got married when I was 6 and had 2 of my half siblings, 10F, 9 meters. Her marriage broke down while she was pregnant for the 2nd time. I was never close to their dad, so we don't have contact with each other anymore. But he sees my 2 half siblings. Then my mom got married again. Her husband Dave has a son 11 male from a previous relationship who he has full custody of. He and my mom also have 2 kids together, 6 meters, 5F. My mom and Dave's families are not involved in our lives. Dave was a foster kid, so never knew his, and my mom's family still isn't over her having me when she was 19, and don't condone her having a child outside of marriage so. My half siblings from mom's first marriage and I have extended family. They have their dad they see 50% of the time, and his family. I have my paternal family. We each have contact with them, get gifts from time with them, parties, dinners, etc. My half siblings get a bunch of vacations every year. The other kids don't. My mom has chased after her ex and my family to include everyone but they don't. My mom has threatened to keep my family from me if they don't include all half and step siblings. But I fought back against that and told her I want to be able to see my family without everyone else. She yelled and cursed at both her ex and my family for not being more inclusive. Mom talks about this a lot around the kids. She complains a lot, encourages them to complain, and express their jealousy. She feeds into it, which makes everything worse. Dave and I have a very tense relationship too. I said no when he offered to adopt me. And I didn't advocate for his son to join in on some of the experiences I get with my extended family. Not to mention I don't really talk about having parents. I'll just say I have a mom. For the last 2 or 3 months my half siblings have been fighting like crazy and my stepbrother asked Dave to get divorced so it could be just the 2 of them. Mom was so shocked by how things turned out. She said something like families don't fight like this, they love each other. How did we get so bad? How come there's no blending? I told her because she's ing everything up by trying to force my family or her ex and his family to treat everyone like family when they're not, and how bringing up how unfair and wrong it is around younger kids is going to feed the jealousy. I told her it won't get better until she realizes she can't control everyone and lets go of us all having very different families. Mom was shocked I was blaming her at all, and she told me if I was a better big sister to all 5 kids, I would make sure they're included and I would be on her side about everything, and how much it angers her that I blame any of this mess. Gundigger Lois says, NTA. You are exactly right. It's ridiculous of your mom to pressure you to try to somehow force your dad's family to include kids they are not in any way related to. Even if they were somehow obligated, it's not your job to enforce that. You're the child in this scenario, and yes, a big chunk of conflict among siblings appears to be your mom's fault. Temporary porn 8789 says, Dave doesn't help much either. since he never tells mom to stop or talks to them about how it's normal in blended families to have different families. He just lets it continue. It's also why his son is really jealous of mom and his kids, because his son doesn't have a mom and just has a dad and no extended family. It's all a mess. Samakin 457 says, 18 can't come soon enough, can it? Naraic says, mom is blind. She has a family with 6 kids. With 4 combinations of parents and once it's so blended that everyone has one family. No. She is blind. NTA. Merlin Biggs says, NTA. You gave her a dose of some well-needed truth. Torataco says, NTA. Why is she placing the welfare of her family on your shoulders? She's the meththesis on her. You're her child and this isn't your cross to bear. I honestly don't know what she's expecting. My family is one of those really blended to the bone ones, but we are an exception to the rule and there are still boundaries in place. The strong extended family culture helps, but it is absolutely foolish to expect this dynamic from other families and even stupider to place the burden on you, a child. Efficient Tax 8398 says, NTA, this is a messed up situation, and I'm sorry you're having to go through it. Mammoth Leg 8489 says, Mom, you can't have kids with a half dozen different men and expect everyone to be one big happy family. Mom hasn't learned a thing since she was 19. All she knows is need man, thing, feel good. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.